Hi, thanks for joining us on Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, an NOCS Heart podcast that allows us to make the mental health victories of everyday Ghanaians accessible, relevant, and relatable. We hope that you enjoy listening to us and learning lots, and we hope you do come back again to learn some more. Now, today's episode. Hi, Dr. Seth Hassan. How are you doing? It's been a while, and it's good to
I'm
see.
good.
Great. It's good to have you on this episode. Um, I wouldn't go off tangent, but it was almost by chance that we met and you are here and really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I will let Tele Seth, if you tell me say Tele Hassan Seth, please, we are talking about the same gentleman that we see here.
Mm-hmm.
A bit about himself. So yes. Dr. Sethele Hassan, who are you? What do you do? And yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. Thanks, Officer. Like you said, it was completely, I don't even know
Right.
how we bumped into each other all over again after so many years. Oh, it's like I said, it was exactly like I said, it was good meeting you too. Who am I? It's probably one of the more difficult questions anybody can be asked, but I am, my name is Dr. Setele Hassan. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a specialist in obstetrics and gynecology, but I do other things apart from medicine. One
Oh,
of the things that I try to do is not to be seen as just a medical doctor. Incidentally, and I know you know this, I'm also a writer at large. It hasn't been a while since I've gotten enough time to write, but it's something I'm really interested in, the literary space. I have a soft spot for music also, not so much doing it, but more like enjoying it and everything that comes with it. I spend most of my time, if I'm not working, usually on a computer doing some work on my phone, trying to catch up with social media because it helps to ease tension. Basically, I think for our purposes, I'll just end right there because I really don't know what else I'm going to add. Otherwise, I might end up rambling. So I'm trying to reduce that nowadays. So yeah, that's me.
Great. For me, you learn something new every day. I didn't know about the music bits, so that's nice to know. Um,
Mm.
for those who are listening and wondering what's going on, this is Come Hearts, Come Minds. It's an CS Heart podcast, and we want to make mental health victories more relatable, more relevant, and more accessible in our society. So I'm really excited that Dr. Hassan has come to take us through the topic of men having real friends. Um, it was interesting when we were choosing the topic and you chose that. I'm like, oh, this one I'm going to love this one. And then
Ha.
recently I had another session with someone else talking about male depression and how men actually do have really good friendships. So I can't wait to expand this with you.
Mm.
This is why perhaps the topic is important to me, but why is it important to you, Seth?
I think it's important to me because I start from my own experience. Looking back on my own life, there have been different times, different situations in which I was in danger, some
Hmm.
sort of danger, maybe physical danger, sometimes even emotional sort of danger, sometimes even financial. Ironic as weird as it might sound, but yes. And I look back and I realize that friends were really instrumental. In a weird way, also, I look back at other instances and I realize how friends put me in that trouble as compared to how friends got me out of other types of trouble. So
Hmm.
at some point, I realized that friends are essential, especially when it comes to men,
Hmm.
because, men, we don't really emote as obviously as women do.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, the impression is that the men don't experience emotions at all. We do. More often than not, we are more identified much more easily with the more boisterous, loud, aggressive sort of emotions. But I believe that not just believe, I know that men experience the full spectrum of emotions
Hmm.
and the role of friends in properly regulating and then managing some of these things, I don't think it can be underestimated. I don't think it can be overestimated, rather, sorry. It should
Yeah.
not be underestimated because, like I said, in my experience, friends have really been there for me throughout the difficult times. And I believe it's something that we need to be conscious of. Generally, even if we're to take a step back from men,
Mm-hmm.
everybody should be careful about their friends because your friends can either make or break you in ways that you can't
Yeah.
even imagine. So yes, from my end, I think that would be it.
Mhm. And I love the reason why we are talking about this. Obviously, this is a mental health awareness podcast, but also with the struggle. I mean, speaking as a woman, I did engineering. I was in a class of 87 men and 7 girls. I know the reality of being on the minority, right?
Mm,
But then when it comes to mental health, it's such a heartbreak that men are actually on the minority when it comes to mental health care,
mm,
health awareness, and even being able to do something about it. So this is why I love Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, because then we get the information and the tools that help. And I
mm.
love what you said about friendships really helping you in an emotional space before. Because I mean, someone listening to this would actually go like, that my bro could actually, or help me, and it becomes more relatable. So yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Yes.
Now, in your opinion, how has modern society shaped the way men form and maintain friendships? And what impact does this have on mental well-being?
Oof, modern society. It's interesting. I think we can't really talk about modern society without at least highlighting where we've come from. When I say where we've come from, I'm a millennial. We are somewhat of the bridge between the generation before us and then this fantastic Gen Zs who, well, they are Gen Z, they are special. You know,
I think they are the most
uh,
popular generation, like even
oh
Gen
yes, they
somewhere.
are.
Like
They
Gen Z,
are
I don't know.
their approach to the most what we would consider routine things, they do things that we don't understand because
Mm,
that's not what we saw. You
okay.
know, typically you expect that the older adult would hand over to the younger adults.
Mhm,
And once that younger adult becomes the older adult, in turn, they hand over to the next
mhm,
younger adult. But somewhere along the line, I don't know what happened with society exactly. There are so many theories, maybe people have different ideas, but there seems to be a gap between us millennials and then the next generation
mm,
because we were told work hard, you get, when you work hard, you get this, you can move on in life, etc. So we fully imbibe those lessons and we are prepared to move on with it. But we have a generation coming after us that says, work hard, nah. Sometimes either work smart or maybe don't work at all. Something would happen, sort of. So it's as if we are stranded.
mm.
So it
We're the
feels as
middle
if we
child.
need to exactly the middle child who is not the elder one who is all that, not the younger one who gets it's a difficult place to be.
Mm,
And I say this in particular respect to men and mental health because things have changed drastically.
yeah.
We were the last generation that saw corporal punishment as normal. I mean, not like we liked it, but it was normal for us. I mean, it's to be
Share the rod
expected.
for the child. It wasn't
Exactly. The
nice, but it
time,
wasn't a big
exactly.
deal.
You know, the time things changed, then they were like, you can't beat a child. I'm sure most of us are like,
What? Yeah.
they can't beat us. Like you can say no. I know, like, wow, we have a choice, that kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it changed our outlook. So the same way, respect to men and mental health, our fathers, the key word was stoic. Nothing ruffles this man. No, he was a near mythical figure. You see your mother with the emotions, and but the man, nothing. It seemed as if he had all his ish together. That's what it looked like.
Mhm.
But growing up, we've come to realize that the adulthood that we're promised, that was the adulthood that would set everything right. It wasn't really based on strong foundations. No, everybody is flying by the seat of their pants. Seriously, there's a lot of trial and error going on there. So I think that the uh, millennial man today is the sort who has to rapidly unlearn some of the old things that can't apply today,
Mm-hmm.
learn some of the new things that are the basic requirements for today, and also innovate and create new things to counteract some of the negative things of today. Because believe you me, there are a lot of negative things of today.
And that's a
That's
lot of pressure, if you ask me, because
yes,
the world itself is weird, right? You have to innovate, you have to
yes,
innovate, you have to not be too harsh, you have to not be too lenient, you have to, there's a lot to go by. And then suddenly you have this delicate balance of friendships that make sense. And
yes,
yeah,
yes. You're 100% true. And like I said, the terms of engagement have changed over the past, let's say, two, roughly about 2 decades or so. Interestingly, I mean, ever since 2000, things just took a left turn. So we have to learn, and we realize that the old stoic way of solitary man doing your own thing, it doesn't work today. It doesn't. It doesn't work in the workplace. It doesn't work in the family. It doesn't work as a father. It doesn't work as a husband. It doesn't. So there's extra pressure. But you see, the broadly, I would say there are about two or maybe even three types of men
okay.
today within this bracket. There are those who are desperately trying to cling to the old order because it's like you promised
The
me a
keepers
car,
of
and now
the
that it's
past,
time, you're saying,
the
you promised me
always.
something so huge, and now it's my turn. You're saying, no way, it's not going to happen. There's
Mm-hmm.
that guy. There's also the other guy who is like, things are new. I want a new thing. I am totally letting go of the past, the new thing, but he has his own challenge. And then there's the guy who is okay, the old, we are we recognize we need to build something new.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to dispose with the old completely. We're not going to accept the new completely. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to try and look at the good of the old, look at the good of the new, fuse it to create something new which can last into perpetuity.
Wow.
I personally would side with the third man.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know, maybe it's medical school that has taught me, in one thing, almost a surefire rule in every medical school examination. If you see all, if you see every, if you see absolute, never,
Mm-hmm.
more than likely, it's not true.
Okay.
There, there are there's a very few number of things which are absolutes.
Okay.
So I think we need to look back into what was. I'm not trying to quote Kamala. Look back into what was, and then see what is coming and decide what we want to do. So we are actually at a crossroads, and it's a fortuitous point in our lives. I think
Mm-hmm.
we need to make decisions for tomorrow. But like, unfortunately, I don't really see so much of it in the society. Of course, there are some people who are trying to raise their voices,
Mm-hmm.
and this would typically one. How do I put it? Let's say one manifestation of this is in fathering now. The
Mm-hmm.
fathers of today, we are seeing a new breed of fathers who don't mind bathing the child,
Yeah.
who
Who
don't
wants to
mind picking the children up for school.
pass through?
Exactly. Who don't mind being the only one to be at home with the children. And then it's not a chore or like a punishment you're giving him. He really wants to involve himself in the lives of his children. And that is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And I think we need to embrace the good aspects and find a way of molding them into our lives today. And in light of the concept of friendship, it also matters because like calls to like, man.
Mm.
Like calls to like, iron sharpens iron, birds of the same feather flock together. There are so many of these words and these brilliant phrases that we use, and I think it matters. If you do not have good friends, you are not going to become a good friend, and
Mm.
you will end up just dragging each other down. So
Mm.
the friendship aspect is essential because apart from that, also we have to look at the next generation, whether we like it or not. The
Yeah.
examples that we are setting, and we need to set the good ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're in the middle. It's
I,
difficult, but
I I love the way you tied it all in because then friendships become the basis for being able to cope with all these
hmm,
changes. Like we
Yes.
we we knew what a man was. Like even in, I remember as far back as nursery school, they asked us a question. You know who the man was and what he does. But now all that has changed. So that standard is gone. A new one
Mm.
is like being created. And now you have the extra responsibility of teaching your daughter and your sons how
Yes.
to what is the new
Be.
man? Yeah, what's the new
How to
he?
be.
What's the
That's
new?
all. Yes.
It's just and yeah, I can understand the pressures, and now I even appreciate even more why having good friends as a person is important. Having good
Yes.
friends as a man is important because right now your wife works with you, you all stay in traffic, and then she tells you that on Saturday go to the market because I have to do A, B, and C. I cannot imagine my parents' generation going like, oh yeah, you know, when you go past here and then ask for a reduction. And they'll be like, what? How? You know, so it's something you don't even say, but now it's common. So how do men support each other with all these changing dynamics? I really love how you set the tone for this. So you mentioned the man who is a loner. And it's not wrong to be an introvert. It's not wrong to be someone who keeps to themselves. But we've also mentioned the importance of friendship. So we definitely have the different spectrum. Those who have lots of friends and those who have very few. Um, can you tell us then, in your opinion and with your experience, what specific steps can men take to deepen the existing friendships beyond the casual, like sport,
Mm.
work, you know, because some men actually don't know that they need good friends, or they realize, but they don't know how to find good friends, you know, so, or they have friends, but it's just there, fickle. What is your opinion, especially with your experience, on the steps men can take to deepen their friendships?
Mm. You know, is an actually interesting question that you've asked. And I remember something that my mom said a long time ago, years and years ago. My mom is very choosy when it comes to her friends. And growing up, she had an issue with virtually all of us in the house because, next thing you know, you want to do something because your friend said, and she had an issue with it. Growing up, I didn't understand it, but now I fully understand where she comes from. She said something, if I remember correctly, to the tune of choose your friends. Don't let your friends choose you.
Mm.
Yes, if everybody chooses their friend, I mean, that's it. But you need to be deliberate and decide, do I want this person to be my friend? And mind you, I think the term friend has been overused and abused. Not everybody is my friend. Between you, I have a lot of people who I know. I have a lot of people who know me. I have a lot of people who I interact with.
Lots
But if
of
you were to ask me exactly, if you were to ask me who is your friend, it will be difficult. I work in a place with, let's say, with over 200 employees, co-workers, and everything. I would say that if you were to ask me who my friends are, whom I work with, I'm free with everybody. But friends, I'll be stressed to identify 4 or 5
Mm.
who I really call like friends. I think we need to elevate the title of friend a little bit more for people to understand what it entails. Friends are people who you can count on. They are people who can count on you. It's not
Yeah.
just a one-way relationship. Friends are people who are not in the relationship just for what they can get,
Yeah.
or just they need a sidekick or people to be around them. No, friends are people who build you up, whom you build up, people who are not ashamed to let you see the vulnerable part of them, and vice versa. People who you can open up to on such a level. Friends, I think, but what I do have are a lot of acquaintances. Yes. But when it comes to an acquaintance, I believe we need to be able to separate that. So
Okay.
we know how much effort we put into being friends. Now, one thing I noticed growing up, I had a really difficult time making friends, to be honest with you, growing up, because I mean, looking back, I can say I was weird. My head was in a book every single time. At some point I used to do about 2 books a day, and to the detriment of my actual education, because the class time I'll spend it reading. so that I can finish reading the book in time, so that when I close, I can take a book home, another book home to go and continue. Yeah, it was weird. It was, so, and I wasn't really the sporty type.
Okay.
I grew up in a house full of women. I'm the only boy amongst four girls, and then my mom, my grandmother, that kind of thing. So sports was never really my thing. So the usual watering hole around which people of a certain persuasion would gather, in this case, men, it wasn't really my thing. It wasn't really my thing. I still somehow managed to find people of like-minded persuasions, even though they were not as non-boys as I was. Uh, and throughout secondary school, it also persisted. But I realized that even the friends who you are, especially the friends who choose you, who you think are your friends, but they are not your friends. I realized that sooner or later they reveal themselves. And like Maya Angelou, I believe, said, if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We need to know who a good friend is and then decide, am I going to keep this one or not? Or do I put this person at a distance? And it needs to be consciously done. The thing about men, unfortunately, because it can go good, it can go bad, is we tend to gravitate around things we have in common. Our football club, our secondary school, our primary school, our church, our work. So if there's a guy who is in that area, we are cool. And of course, there's that whole thing we say, guys can talk with each other for years and they don't even know their first name. We'll do, oh, my guy, hey, Charlie, hey, it's been a while, chief, bro. It's a standard. Exactly. And it can be that simple. And even with that, you can actually make some good friends. But what's it goes, sir, when we major on those things and use those things to identify who a friend is. Maybe the both of you drink, you at the end of the day, some bottles, etc. But you realize that it isn't really you, but because you're in a group, or somebody, some way, somehow, you're a group of maybe 6 guys, and then 3 of them start smoking, and next thing you know, oh, one guy's like, oh, I only do a cigar once in a while. Sooner or later, the vices are much easier to come through. So I think right from the beginning, when you are choosing friends, you need to choose the sort of friends whom you resonate with. There's a principle in physics of resonance. More or less, like every single object has a certain frequency at which it would resonate. So if you have 2 objects that are of the same frequency, if this one starts resonating, because of the other one to soon respond, because they have something in common. I had a group of friends who doctors. All of us are doctors, and we had an idea of what we wanted to do. Some way, somehow, it was obvious that certain other people who were also doctors, also brilliant, also fine, but they wouldn't have fit into our group because we had a certain common mind of what we wanted to do, how we wanted to move forward. And I can say that of my closest friends, there's a lot of resonance. Our core values are the same. We are, let's say, if we are Christian, we are Christian. It's not that we are all Roman fathers or we are reverend pastors or we are Shabi. We meet each other and, hey, my brother. No. We understand that we are human, but we also understand that this is something that is cardinal to us. So you won't find certain things among us. And interestingly, those are the things that bring us together. So I think when it comes to deepening friendships, we need to identify what our personal values are, find people whose personal values, their core values, not just lip service, their core values, they mesh into ours. And then we move forward. Interestingly, you might realize that maybe you came together because you both like helping. So you met each other in a charity group or in a club. And that is what, sooner or later.
It's both like the same pork meat that is being sold by the corner.
Exactly. Sooner or later, as you are eating your pork, you're like, So, Charlie, the way this country is going there, we need to do something about investment. Oh, yeah, I invest here. Oh, this is what I do. These are the returns. Next thing you know, your pork friendship is becoming investment friendship. And then somebody is having difficulty, I need a house. I'm trying to move there. Oh, I know a guy who is next thing you know, your life becomes better. Those are the beneficial friendships. But it starts, you need to identify what your core values are. The core values that you're not willing to change. I mean, maybe somebody might like pork, somebody might like goats. Okay, fine. We'll have a meat party. We'll bring pork, bring meat because it's not an essential thing that you need to, stay away from people from. But if your core values are I'm a teetotaler or I I I I speak clean. I don't use expletives in my conversation.
Yeah.
And you realize that, oh, I like this person, he's a friend of mine, but he constantly see either one of two things is going to happen. Either you convert him or he converts you. And within a short period of time, be honest with yourself. I always tell people, if you like lie to me, lie to everybody, but don't lie to yourself. Is this person, ask yourself, is this person really good for me? Because sometimes after coming back from a friend's place, you feel there's something, you can deny it as much as you want because human beings there, you have freedom. But know what your core values are. If somebody is trying to change or their actions change your core, anti your core values, sit down and have a conversation with yourself. This is my core value. Is it really that important to me? It is. Is this person helping my core value? No. It's probably even making it worse. What can I do? And then decide. But the main thing is choose your friends. Don't let them choose you. The fact that you went to the same secondary school doesn't mean we have to be the best of friends. The fact that we even go to the same church doesn't mean that we need to always be in each other's face because maybe there's something about you I don't like and vice versa. We can be, of course, be cordial. That's different. But choose your friends. Yeah, that's important to me.
I love the way you've taken the pressure off people by saying that eventually people will show you who they are. So it always starts from your core values. Once you know what they are, and then you start connecting on one or two things, by the time it gets to the third or fourth, you are very well aware that this we can continue, try exploring some more, or it ends here. Some friends do not come to your house. Some friends do not come to your car. Like, it's side depend on your values. And I think this is not even just for guys, but for everybody. When you know what your values are, you can then start to open up the layers. As you said, you met on pork or any meat, and then now went to finances. Then it went to, oh, I'm looking for a school for my child. And then, suddenly it gets bigger and bigger. And it's in moments that the deeper things come in when it comes to really good friendships. And that even brings us to the next question. So then you've talked about like the prelims, right? How can men create safe spaces within their friendships where, let's talk about mental health, where the vulnerability and emotional support, wait for it, feels natural. Not like, it feels natural, easy going. Yeah.
I need to say something that is essential, which I've told other people before. It's almost always whenever I tell women this, it becomes a fight. It becomes an argument because they just don't want to understand. Yeah. The way men think about mental health is completely different from the way women think about mental health. Even from the way women think about men's mental health.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Tell us more.
You see, the impression is, oh, you guys, you're having this thing, keep it inside. Talk, bring it out. Yes, that's how the woman feels. Maybe typically that's how women sort their things out. Men don't sort their things out that way. First of all, the fact that you are even giving me, you a woman, you're giving me a man pointers on how to think about my mental health is a problem. It's like when you are doing a project and you have to do cultural, like a community entry. You don't go, yes, you want to give them a borehole, you want to do all those things, but you don't go, I think you people need water, so you don't do that. You need to find out from the people what they want. It might surprise you that they have an even more pressing need, which you'll be able to meet much easier with their cooperation than you saying this what. And I know a lot of those women were well-meaning, but men don't do our things that way.
Okay.
Sometimes all a man needs is silence. He doesn't need you to ask him, oh, so how did it make you feel and what did you? No.
Eh?
Sometimes we want to say it, so we will say it. But if not, don't badger me.
Hmm.
Let me, in my own way, figure out how I'm going to do something. But it feels as if women bring it. I have the solution, so you must do it this way. I'm like, relax. We know how we do our things. In fact, even when you look at conflict resolution between men and women, it's different. When you have men who are in conflict with other men, the way they resolve it is different from how women who are in conflict with other women will resolve it.
Hmm.
But uh, I think the most important thing, probably one very important part, is let the person decide how they are going to handle it. That's with men.
Hmm.
Sometimes they might reach a point where we want to talk about it or not. Fine, or want to talk about it. Or they might reach a point where they've processed it and then they let it go.
Okay.
Um, my one of my sisters describes it as crisis or lysis. You either interact giddy giddy crisis to solve the thing, or you just, lysis, just breaking it like it's okay. Men
Wow.
can handle things either way, that way. But you, most importantly, you need to find out from him what he wants.
Hmm.
You don't step in by telling him what to do. It might be obvious to you that, oh, if you talk to this person, it is obvious to you. God bless you for your initiative and your wisdom and your insights. That may not matter to him at that point. And for you might not know a little bit of information that is critical to him, which he knows, for
Hmm.
which he's acting that way.
Hmm.
But like I said, you don't step in by telling him, do this, do this, do that. Ask him, what do you want to do?
Hmm. I like
That's the
the
thing.
I like the way you've brought this conversation outside the realm of men being friends with men, and just advised I mean women like me because I have brothers, I have a husband, so it's interesting. Anytime when I have conversation, they're like, "Let the silence is fine." I'm like, "Oh goodness, I have all these words in my head. I should just swallow them." It comes up each time we talk about men's mental health, it comes up. So I'm really glad you mentioned it. Um, so I
And
love
sorry, let me just add a little bit. Sorry. And the other important thing to notice, I'm not even saying that men don't like to talk. Oh. There
that.
will come a time that maybe he wants to open up. But the fact that you have respected his silence enough for
Yeah.
him to now, okay, so you're not giving me pressure, you're understanding. And when he opens up, the things he would tell you, and this point I'm talking about women specifically,
Yeah.
the things he would tell you, you might actually be shocked
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot that is inside.
Yeah.
Sometimes he might be tired to tell you a little bit to test waters. Then the
Mm-hmm.
moment you blow up, forget it. That's it. You're not going to hear a peep out of him anymore.
Again,
Like you describe, you're emotionless. You're always so no, it's not his emotionless. You just like
you don't
that old
talk.
movie.
You don't talk again. But
You can't handle the truth. So he will just, you know what? Okay, he'll just give you what he thinks you can handle. And the good thing is, men amongst us, we in my experience and my observation,
mm-hmm.
we acknowledge this, we know this.
Okay. You already
So
understand.
if yes, we understand it. So if there's a man who really wants your good, because there's some men too who can be duplicitous, who just want to upset you, fine. But if there's a fellow man who
Mm-hmm.
wants your good, whom we will call a friend in this case, he knows when to ease off the gas, he knows when to push you, he knows when to keep quiet and when to and how to approach it in most cases. I mean, of course, there's some people who are awkward to death. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the typical people who know a little bit and who want to help. They know exactly how to modulate the friendship or the approach to achieve what we want.
I'm loving this because I told you there was another discussion about men's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And the, should I say the declaration there was men are actually really good friends to men. It's just that you won't hear about how good a friend a man has been outside that circle. So, like if you're not in that circle, you may not even hear that, oh, Tele is such a good friend to me because of A, B, and C. You probably just assume that Tele doesn't have friends or Tele is not a good friend. So I love what you said about like men appreciate and acknowledge that kind of level of silence and easing off and allowing the man to speak and be. And I think that even just answers that you already, and it confirms what I had in the another session, that men men already know how to create the spaces that are great for the vulnerability and emotional support. And for me, hearing it that I was like, surely you guys don't talk good. So as you said, so me, I'm personally learning, or maybe the shock, maybe guys will be like, oh, why are you so emotional? Like, yeah, guys, I'm learning every day. I understand I can be well read and I keep saying it, but this is amazing to know.
Mm.
So start from somewhere, start from common places, um, respect that men would open up, and you in your own time, if you're a man, would also open up to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will then jump to, now that there's this space, there's this vulnerability, there's this thing where you can be cool, you can be quiet, you can talk. How then do men set healthy boundaries? And how they even interact to make sure that they can sustain meaningful male friendships?
Mm.
Because
I
I know from what you just said, it seems natural to guys. But what if there's a guy listening who now suddenly feels overwhelmed by the friendship and doesn't know how to do that, set the boundary? Even more so
okay.
that you already mentioned that if you have really good friends, they will set you up for success or what you want or where you want to go. But if you have,
Mm.
I don't want to say bad friends, but friends who don't do that for you, how they
Mm.
start setting those boundaries and still sustain meaningful male friendships. So we're not talking about the ones
Mm.
at off. We're talking about the ones that men want to go further with, but now there's a boundary issue.
Okay. I think one of the watchwords, probably the first thing is that's inscription on the Temple of
Hold on.
Delphi.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Where I got carried away. This way I'm great is a recording. So I will have to say issues, and then I have to say we'll go in for a break and we'll be back because we only have a few minutes. We may get cut in the middle.
Yeah.
Happened the last time, I promise
Okay.
again. But this is good. So yeah, you got me
Uh,
distracted. I should probably give people distracted. Officials distracted badges. I normally don't get there, but when I get it like at the end, thank you, Tele. So let me just
yeah, it
try and
feels like we've been talking
see.
for 2 minutes. So anyway, no, Allah. It doesn't feel
Yes.
like we've been talking for that long.
Yes. Okay, so let me see. So we would
Sure.
hold it right there. I have asked the question, but we'll go on a quick break. Yeah, sorry guys for the suspense. But we'll go on a quick break and come back and unpack that question further. This is Calm Heart, Calm Minds. In case you don't know what this is, maybe someone is watching and you're listening in. We try and make the mental health victories in our society more relevant, more relatable, and more accessible. And obviously they can't be victories without challenges. So we also talk about the challenges as well, but really zero in on the victories, and really happy that Dr. Sesteles Hassan has taken us through some of the victories when it comes to male friendship. So we'll be right back. We will see you soon. So hi everyone. Thanks for hanging on back from the break. If you are listening, I don't know what your agenda is, but I'm sure you want to either understand male friendship better like me, or want to build better male friendship because you're a guy and you think you can go deeper with your friends, especially with supporting great mental health. I love the way Dr. Setela Hassan has really sort of given us the 101s, and some of them are not just for guys, they're for everybody. And also some of the basics when it comes to even being a friend as a lady to a guy. It's been very helpful nuggets, honestly. So we did ask the question about boundaries. And if you happen to hear this and probably haven't watched it from the start, this is Calm Hearts, Calm Minds. We are on a mission to make mental health victories in our society more relevant, more relatable, and more accessible. I'm sure when Seth was speaking, you immediately thought of someone you knew. So
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you on the relativeness there. You may have remembered an experience that makes it relatable, and now you know what to do that makes it accessible. So really happy that we are hitting all these points with this conversation. So yes, please tell us. Men have reached a point, let's say a man have reached a point where he's got a good friend or someone he feels could be a good friend. and have gone through all the layers. I don't know, volunteering, or let's say, let's move from kebab. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we both do the school run, right? We both drop off our kids at the same time, and then maybe you help me find a house, and then maybe now I see you at church, and like there are now more things that they can connect on. But now reach a place where the boundary has to be set.
Mm.
And but it hasn't reached a place where you want to cut the person off. You just want to set a healthy boundary so that the friendship can continue in a meaningful way. What would be your advice and your thoughts around this when it comes to men setting boundaries in their male friendships?
Okay. With respect to that in particular, I tend to default to this is a philosophical maxim, the inscribed on the entrance to one of these old temples, the Delphi temple. Know thyself.
Hmm.
Very, very important. I mean, it's a two-phrase statement, and it's just what's the big deal? It's deep. It's deep because I think we are all in this world to impact upon the world
Mm-hmm.
and also to be impacted upon. We are supposed to become better versions of ourselves, and we are also supposed to make this world better
Yeah.
in any way you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be big. Sometimes all you need to do is to be nice to somebody, and that person, because you are nice, they'll change their mind. The next thing you know, they have created something that will save all of us from the cataclysm rather than being, you never know, the butterfly effect and all that. But with respect to this, I say know thyself because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes your friends exist to take you out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
There are certain things that you wouldn't naturally do, but seeing a friend doing it, or your friend might tell you, this one, you can do it. I believe in you. That kind of will push you to greater heights.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, too, some friends, it might go the other way around. You might want to do something, a friend is like, oh, this one, you can't do it. I know you. You can't, sort of. And then it disvim you.
And
So
had this women.
I crazily, and I think all of us have a memory, or at least some memory of that occurring.
Yeah.
Whenever you reach a point and you see yourself at a crossroads, I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, this thing that is a challenge. Maybe your friend tells you something about your wife,
Mm-hmm.
which you haven't noticed, or he said something about your boss.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, that thing that they said, you need to sit down and deeply analyze. This thing that he says, is it going to build me up or is it going to tear me down?
Yeah.
Is there a pattern of things like this? What is it going to do to me? Is it something that I want? Is it me? Do I
Mm.
want this person to be giving me insider info on this issue? Or
Mm.
whatever it is, if this thing continues for long, would I be happy? When you know yourself and you answer that question, the answer will tell you what to do. Of
Mm.
course, it's difficult to just cut people off completely,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you need to actively take such a decision.
Yeah.
Um, when when it comes to human beings too, it can be even more complicated.
Mm.
But I believe that's also part of growing up, being able to learn how to say no in a palatable manner.
Yeah.
Cutting people off completely, it depends on the severity.
Yeah.
If they go and do something somewhere and they drag you into it, I mean, that means that it's negative,
Yeah.
and you realize the person has that sort of pattern. Hey, cut the person off. Cut
Yeah.
the person off with prejudice. Yeah. But sometimes, you
I like
know,
that. Unapologetic way.
sometimes maybe,
Take all
oh
your
yeah,
politics and cut them off.
not exactly how I intend it. But the moment you realize that niceness is overrated, then you realize that what matters really matters. Sometimes because you are being too nice, I don't want to offend, I don't want to, and you start signing on to things that grieves you
Uh-huh.
yourself. If this person goes out somewhere, goes to buy something and brings you one, it is 50, it's 100 cities. So here, I'm collecting the money. And you don't want it. But that is the person's character. At some point, you need to but you don't want the person to lose the cost. I think you're muted.
Yeah. I thought I lost you for
Yeah,
but please continue.
yeah,
This will be part of
yeah.
the
So what I was saying,
recording
no
anyway.
problem.
So.
So what I was saying, like for example, like this friend who always goes somewhere, comes, he's bought some for himself, he's bought some for you, and he's come to collect the money. Or even if they don't collect the money, you don't want it, but you feel bad, so you want to, and based on that, the person expects certain things from you which you're not willing to give. At some point, you need to bite the bullet. They
Yeah.
bring it in, Charlie, my guy, I don't want it. I don't need it. It will be uncomfortable, it will be awkward, but it is a boundary they are drawing. You are
Yeah.
drawing a line. The person will do it again to
Yeah.
test. Are you sure? And then you insist. Then you know that okay, this is our friendship. There's a universal set of things that can happen in any friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that universal set, this subset is where we are allowed to play.
Mm.
Whether in this subset, you don't gossip about other people. In
Mm.
this subset, you don't expect me to corroborate your lies
Yeah.
because that's what some friends also do.
Yeah.
You define the friendship.
Yeah.
If this person really wants to be a friend of yours, the friendship would survive that boundary. If the
Mm.
friendship does not survive the boundary, it is not a good friendship.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I
If
actually like what you are saying. Let me just click on that before you continue.
yeah,
Survive the boundary. I think that's what happens. People don't realize that some friends they lost was because it just didn't survive the boundary. The boundary had to be
yes,
set, but it just didn't survive it. I love that term, surviving the boundary. Please continue. I just need to
yes,
clarify that.
yeah, because it happens a lot. I mean, there are friends whom we've had since childhood, and there are friends who you were really tight for about 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden you hardly see each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you need to understand the basis of that friendship. I was just this morning, I was going somewhere, and a friend of mine who just came to mind because I was going to go and pick up a package, and I was wearing a pair of shorts, and I remembered, this guy dashed me these shorts when we were in university.
Oh
And then he
wow.
dashed me another shirt. And I'm still wearing these shorts that my wife wants to throw away because she says they are too old, but my heart is in it. Then I remembered him, and I know this is my guy. We haven't spoken in months, but all I need is outside the country. All I need is just to call, and then we'll vibe, and then that's it because we are friends. We understand each other on that level.
Mhm.
That's a real friend. But there are some people you look back and you need to ask yourself, what exactly is this person doing in my life? The
Mm.
sort of person they are making me. Is that
Mhm.
who I want to be?
Mhm.
Like I said, sometimes you step away from them and you assess your own words when you were with him and that group of friends. They're like, "Ugh, that's not me. That's not
It.
me." So then that means that I won't hang out in those groups anymore. I've drawn that boundary. If that means that when you see me somewhere, you don't say hi, then okay, it's worth it. We are adults. We don't need to be part of every group. It's not, we are way past the Backstreet versus Westlife sort of beef thing. We don't do that anymore. Yeah, I don't need to be part of any. I have an aim in life. I know myself and I know this is what I want to do. And going down this road with you would hamper what I want to do. It
Yeah.
wouldn't help me be that better version. Maybe what the person is doing is they are doing, it's actually something positive. You
Mhm.
said you wanted a better job, and they are sending you job
Um,
postings and that kind of
yeah.
whatever, all those things. Yeah, it might get annoying at some point, but you need to understand where the person is coming from.
Yeah.
You need to understand where they're coming from, but maybe you still feel some way, so you're like, okay, maybe I want a job in this way, not in that way. So you
Mm.
tell the person, Charlie, my guy, thank you for this, but it isn't what I'm looking for. I really appreciate what you're doing. And it's an uncomfortable conversation. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
Rejecting somebody's help
Goodwill.
as they see it, exactly, goodwill. But the beautiful thing is, if it is a good friendship, it will
Yeah.
still withstand that. We need to disagree. I have disagreed with my friends over so many different things, over serious beef that my friend a person, and the person's like, oh, it's not an issue. We'll beef, but I'll take it World Cup, and then he doesn't think it's an issue. Fine, it's a free world. But at the end of the day, the friendship should be able to withstand those honest things. But
I
know thyself. Know
know that
thyself. Know thyself.
I love the whole thing about being honest with your friends because even when you talk about this, the not the CV, the job posting thing,
Mm,
they may even send you job posts that you don't like. So even having that conversation that, I wanted to search for a job in, say, for me, like project management, but I don't want a job in construction. You are
Mm.
literally sort of throwing their goodwill back at them. And that
Yeah.
conversation back can be uncomfortable. So even not just for male friendships, I think all friendships, there will be uncomfortable because you are learning, you're growing, you're learning
Yes.
about each other. And we are always as human beings changing one way or the other.
Yes.
So that those conversations would have to be had. So I
Mm.
love that you said it will survive the boundary. Honestly, if I fall in love with the term today, that's it. I've survived the boundary.
Yeah, it
Um,
should.
So then on that note, we talked about changes and you talked about having conversations and even those awkward moments will pass if the friendship is meant to last. Now let's talk about life's challenges and life's changes. How do you think men can support each other through the different challenges they have and respecting their friends' autonomy and choices whilst maintaining the mutual trust? We talked about boundaries. Now, let's say your friend comes and says, I don't want you to, you're Christian, but I don't want you to talk about church. I don't want you. I can listen to everybody else. Now, let's even make it personal. I can listen to everybody else. But I don't want you to talk about church. I'm going through a lot right now. And for you, maybe church is the way, talking about
Yeah.
God tough for you is a way. So, I mean, how can you support each other through their life challenges, our life challenges? No, not me as a woman, but and then also respect that guys want to be in control. So how do you respect the autonomy of their choices? And then the last one, maybe even more complicated, maintain the mutual trust. Because sometimes when people tell you the truth or what they feel is true to them, it can hurt. And then sometimes it can affect trust. So how do we get through this maze, this final piece of a maze? The
Hmm.
challenges, the autonomy, the trust. Goodness, I feel like I even feel painful asking you that question.
You know, this is probably the toughest question this whole thing. I mean, fine. It's because it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
In and of itself, it's difficult because managing it, I think it stems from a person's personality.
Okay.
It stems from their personality, their values, their understanding, their character, all of that. Because some people cannot stand criticism. Some people cannot stand an opposite or an opposing view.
Okay.
And I think the more matured we are, maturity is very important. The more matured we are, the more we should be able to house contrasting views and interact with each other still. Uh, it comes down to who you pick as your friend, Sha. If you
Mm.
know your friend, with time, you know how to reach out
Mhm.
to this particular person.
Yeah.
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 You should, yes, respect because that is a boundary. You also need to respect their boundaries. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you know that the boundaries are wrongly placed
Mm.
because the boundaries are there to protect what they hold dear, which might be wrong. For
Mm-hmm.
example, you know very well that I know you're married. I'm
Mm-hmm.
married. We know each other's wives.
Mm-hmm.
And we go and meet somewhere and I see you with some other woman in some suggestive position and everything. You're
Mm-hmm.
my friend. Obviously, your boundary will be Charlie. Do you fear them? This is
Mm-hmm.
my own. I know what I'm doing. You don't know how my house is, what is going on, etc. But you're my friend. At that point, I need to decide:
Mm-hmm.
is it should I just keep quiet and watch my friend go down this path for things to blow up in their face, or
Mm-hmm.
should I still tell this friend the truth? Me, I'll go for the option B. I'll tell you the truth. If the friendship suffers, at least I told you my piece.
Mm-hmm.
One day, when you go looking for truth speakers, you come to me, even
Yeah.
if we are not fine at that point.
Because that's a
I
value
think,
for you.
yes, exactly. I think so. Before we even get to that point where there's a crisis that brings all these issues, our values need to be clear.
Yeah.
If from the beginning we are sharing body jokes and then we are laughing, hey, this man, hey, us, and all this, we are making up those are little bits that lead to somewhere. We
Mm-hmm.
say Sherman and Chichinyum is the whistling that leads to music. Nothing starts out of the
Out of the
blue.
blue. Yeah.
Exactly. But if we are doing that, I'm like, Charlie, I'm not interested in that. You know my values.
Yeah.
And you continue doing this, I also now know your values.
Yeah.
So maybe that might be what would break the friendship up. But
Mm.
I think it all comes down to knowing yourself, Sha.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
know yourself and you know your friend how they are, you can't, because there's a point where you need to call people out.
Yeah.
Obviously, not out in the public where things
Yeah.
will become distorted. Your friend, tell him, Charlie, my guy, I've seen what's up, this thing, Charlie, these texts, these things that you've been doing every time, it doesn't look good. What's going on? Or this thing, and you are fighting with these people, Charlie, it doesn't speak well of you.
Yeah.
For you may know, they might not understand the issue fully. Just reaching out would let you understand, oh, okay, this is why.
Mhm.
I heard that these guys, they said, oh, Charlie, my guy, they said that you embezzled some money. What's up? And then you find out that it was all Charlie.
Mhm.
But you need to reach out to the friend. That's unfortunately one thing that we don't really do well in our part of the world.
Okay.
With men, with with women, especially, I think you should have your friends back. But in having
Okay.
your friends back, you need to know who your friend is.
Yeah.
You hear something out of character, you
Mm-hmm.
don't just run with it because it is the Chief Justice who
Who
declared
said
that
it?
that is what the person did. No, go to your friend. If this person is really your friend and you have established a good relationship, even if they erred, they should be able to tell you, Charlie,
I messed up.
I messed up. It
Yeah.
was, and then you understand, okay, it's messed up. How can I help this person? That is a friend. Acquaintances, they don't have anything in common in the first place. So why should they even tell you? But if it's your friend, sometimes you see, even confession can heal. The
Mm.
fact that you're admitting that I did this to somebody who is that close, and it can reorient your mind. But
Mm-hmm.
that vulnerability is what we try and shy away from. But
Mm.
if we have good friends
Yeah.
and we see at your, because I remember not too long ago, a friend of mine called me concerning an issue, um, and we spoke about it at length. And I told him, my guy, me too, I'm going through the same thing. Oh. So I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're talking about.
Oh wow.
We It was a certain aspect of our friendship we had not set foot in there before.
Oh
Some way,
wow.
somehow, it wasn't our thing. But then it's actually, this is the issue I'm facing. I'm like, my guy, me too. But so it's like more or less like found to my mediano. Let us grieve together. And
Mm-hmm.
now we are accountable to each other on a different level. So
Wow.
now when we talk about this, I know you two, we see each other like, hey, and just that alone, it makes you feel
Which
you're
one?
not alone, because a
Yeah.
lot of negativity thrives in darkness and
Yeah.
solitude. Then it
Yeah.
can metamorphose into worse things. But when you have somebody with you,
Mm-hmm.
when the Bible talks about the one who walks alone and then he who has a friend,
Yeah.
it means a lot. And then we say, "Kumenisuma minti na atwi mmienu nam." I mean, Charlie, it means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When you have somebody who is your brother, who you consider that close, not just a friend, even up to the brother status, it helps keep you accountable and helps you walk the straight walk. So I think that we need to improve our friendships to the point where we can even risk offending the person by telling them the
Mm.
truth.
Mm.
But that one, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. There are people, like I said, my there are some of my mates from
Mm-hmm.
school doing all sorts of things. I know, but we are not friends like that. If we're friends on that level, we could have gotten to that point, I can tell you. But interestingly, those who are doing something which is wrong, they are surrounded by other people who are complicit in the
They know
action.
themselves and they
They
chose
know
not
themselves.
to.
Uh-huh. And we hide it all under, oh, boys. This is
Mhm.
just, it's just. So it is, I know that you are philandering. I know that you are cheating. I know that you are doing this. We are all doing it. So it's normal for us. But
Mhm.
there's another group where this is not part of us.
Yeah.
So if you start doing it for one reason or the other, the rest of us can check you. And
Yeah.
that's how friends, men, friends, we can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, um, it's on a person by person basis.
Mm.
And the man needs to get to that point himself of realizing that I need a good friend. This is
Mm.
what I need. And it doesn't start from a safe space. In
Yeah.
fact, the concept of safe space pisses most of us up. I know it pisses me off. Safe
They-
space. No, 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 no.
It's not.
It's even the language doesn't sound masculine. It
I'm
sounds
verifiable safe space.
Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. It's some
If you have
way.
to tell me
We
a place is safe, is it really safe?
man, no, 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 no. Let me. I know where it's safe. I should, you know. So I believe that's how most men are, but we need to build our friendships to a point where we can risk offense in order to speak to your friend. And hopefully from there, we should be better off for it. It's
Yeah.
not easy. All these things I'm saying, like it's not easy, but it's important.
I
Very
love that
important.
you are highlighting that it's not easy, but it's possible. I love something that you actually just said, that the man has to decide that he needs a friend. And where we started from with the history of friendships, we definitely haven't declared that old friends were better than new friends or Gen Z friends. But we have said that the way the world is changing, the way the world is going, having a friend or having friends you share values with is very beneficial to keep you in the space that you want to be. Um, and allowing yourself to know someone helps you know even their values so that you know when to back off or come on force, especially when your values are the same. You know that these we vibe on this one, or this one is different. So I know that if it worries me, I can deal, but it doesn't worry you. So I love this. I love this a lot. And I will say again, a lot of things you said are not just even for male to male friendships. It applies to so many. I have a friend at work who one day asked me, "Why are you so angry? What's wrong? Why are you so angry?" And we have built a relationship to a point where I don't like, who told you? Like, it's really
Yes.
like, if you are saying this to me,
Then
then
I
I
must
am, I
be.
am doing, yeah, I am so angry. I'm not just angry, I'm so angry. And funny enough, there had been some things that had been happening that I had told her about. So for her to ask me that question meant a lot. And for me, it wouldn't have been easy for me to ask someone who I know some of the history, asking them again, why and it was really a pivotal moment for me in that time because it made me pause and go like, yep, I'm upset about A, B, and C, but the way I'm acting is way off. And it
Yes.
takes time, as you said. We didn't just become friends overnight. There were times she would give me information, like you said, and watch what I did with it. There were times I gave her information and watch what she did with it. But friendships just take time, but we have to be intentional. I think that's one thing. Aside knowing yourself, you have to be very
Yes.
intentional. Otherwise, your friendship becomes a wishy-washy thing that really
Yes.
doesn't hold water. I love this. I didn't know
Yeah.
what to expect when I started this conversation, and I love not to preempt what people are. I do preempt, I'll be honest, but I don't pre-discuss. And this has been so helpful. There's been a lot that you've said, and a lot that me personally have learned, and a
Mm.
lot that I'm sure a guy who wants to go deeper in their relationship with other guys has learned. If there were one thing, I hate this question, but I love it so much because I get to ask it, not answer it. If there were one thing you wanted anyone watching or listening to this to remember, what would it be?
To remember concerning what exactly?
This whole conversation that we had from, as they say, crane, crane to crane, crane, from beginning to the end.
Oh,
You see how hard that question is?
uh, is it hard? Okay.
Maybe
No.
intuitive for you because when I asked it, that one
Yeah,
thing
you
comes to
need to
mind.
think.
So, but what
If there was if there
one
was one thing,
you wanted, if you forgot everything you said today, everything you said, and there was one thing you want us to remember, what would that one thing be?
when it comes to mental health, let men be men.
Hmm.
The fact that we are not addressing the mental health crisis in the way you wish we should does not necessarily mean that we are not.
Hmm.
If you really, really want to help, ask us, what do you want?
Hmm.
Ask men, what do you want? How do you want us to address this?
Hmm.
You
Think,
will be surprised at the answers.
wow.
Sometimes the solution of strife is just to create an atmosphere for everybody to relax. That's all. You don't even need to address the underlying thing. sometimes it's just let things be the way they are. Don't add, don't over try and fix them, but let the men tell you what exactly they need and believe them. It's like we say,
Yeah.
you don't believe. No. It can't be just this.
But
Yes, it
I
can.
don't believe it's okay. It's not okay. I'm seeing
Just
your
this.
and all these
Yes, just this.
confessions.
Yes. I mean, yes, it's just this. Sometimes it is really that simple. It's really that simple. So listen. Don't just swoop in. I know the answer. I'm going to solve it. It's so simple. Listen to the men and support them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If we have you, Dr. Seth Hassan, or someone else coming to expand the topic of how to be a good friend to the opposite sex and the differences and all that, please know that this
That would be
conversation brought
cool.
this idea because Charlie, like, there's a lot to talk about both
Oh,
ways.
yes.
And it's
Yeah,
even
men are from
surprising.
Mars, women are from
I'm
Venus.
telling you both ways. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been Calm Hearts, Calm Minds. We are on a mission to make mental health victories more relatable, more relevant, and more accessible. If you are a guy who's been listening to this, I think there's a lot of tips here that you can relate to. You go like, I know that one. Or you find relevant to your circumstance and you now have a lot of tools that Dr. Seth now that's what happens when you try to say all of it at once. Dr. Seth Hassan has taken us through. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Yeah, looking forward to another session with you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been fun.
It has been. Bye.
Let's do it again. Bye
Let's do
bye.
it again. Bye. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, and Innocence Heart podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope you learned something new. We look forward to you joining the next episode. We can't wait to see you soon. Bye.